It's being called Indiana's crisis. Thousands of children flooding the foster care system and not enough foster families. Meredith Juliet took a closer look at the rising number of children in need, and she joins us now.
Thanks, Joe. I spent time with a local couple hoping to grow their family. When they began the process of adoption, they came face to face with the challenges of fostering children. Aaron and Gina Walker aren't the parents of these two little kids. They aren't the aunt or uncle or a friendly neighbor either.
And they're really excited, really happy. Little Aaron will put his arms around me. You're my foster mama. I'm like, yeah.
The Walkers have been fostering a pair of young siblings, a boy and a girl, for the past 4 months.
Well, it's hard. Yeah. Being a foster parent is hard. It's stressful because they're not your children, and then you get attached, you know.
Gina is a stay-at-home foster mom. She plays with the kids day in and day out in their rural home. They like to play trains, build forts, and feed the chickens out back. While the Walkers are hoping to adopt the two kids, the initial goal for all foster kids is to be reunified with their biological parents.
Everyone who starts foster care is encouraged that you need to go into this understanding that the priority is to try to reunify a child with their own family of origin.
And according to Sharon Pierce, over the last decade, reunification has happened more often than not. While the Department of Child Services doesn't track this data, Pierce says about 57% of the time foster children were reunited with their biological parents. But that's not the case anymore. Today, Pierce says juvenile judges are lucky to approve just 30% of children for reunification.
It is really frightening because it speaks to the fact that families in Indiana are in trouble, and not just in Indiana, throughout the country.
Pierce says that trouble starts and ends with the heroin epidemic.
Parents can't escape, it seems, this horrific addiction, and so families are crumbling and falling apart.
When Child Protective Services, or CPS, learns that a parent can no longer care for a child, the child is placed with a family until a judge rules the parents are capable of caring for them again. Sometimes they're with a family for just a few days. Other times it's longer.
This is, I think, their fourth.
No, we're their fifth placement.
Fifth placement, something like that. Yeah. So they've been moved around a lot.
If the child is out of their biological parent's home for 15 out of 22 months, the parental rights are terminated and the child is placed up for adoption. A juvenile judge also has the power to terminate the parental rights if it's in the best interest of the child. For the Walkers, this limbo is hard.
It's kind of an odd thing because you kind of treat them like they're your kids, but they're not. They're under the authority of the state, so you're kind of babysitting, but it's not a babysitting job. It's kind of a weird in-between thing.
Not only is it less likely children will be reunified today, but now more children than ever are flooding the foster care system. In 2012, there were just shy of 13,000 children in need of services here in Indiana. Last year, that number soared to more than 23,000. To put that in perspective, that's enough kids to fill IU's Assembly Hall almost 1.5 times. The number of foster families isn't keeping pace with the need. That's putting pressure on judges and current foster families to bend the rules to find more placements, especially when trying to keep large sibling groups together.
And so that might mean that we have to go back to the State Department of Child Services and say, I know this home is only licensed for 4 children, but we think this parent would be great for, this brother and sister, and so if you'll give us an exception so that they can have 6 children, then we'll place them there.
We've already gotten calls for 2 more siblings.
We're only allowed to have 3 in this house.
Yeah, and it was around the same age of another boy and girl, and then a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
They asked us for a 12-year-old. I was like, oh, in our house?
Pierce says Indiana state leaders need to step up and help. In the past decade, the state has slashed funding for the Department of Child Services Administration, case management, and training.
This is our tsunami. This is our hurricane. And we as a state have to have emergency preparedness and response and problem solving so that it never happens again.
For now, the Walkers are in a wait-and-see situation. They pray every night with the kids that they can eventually go back to their parents. If that can't happen, they'd like to adopt the 2 kids so the siblings can break free of the foster care system and have a steady life. A judge will decide in a couple of months whether to terminate their rights or reunite the kids with the biological parents again. I asked the Walkers if they would foster again if they aren't able to adopt the kids, and they said they'll just have to cross that bridge when they get there.
Thank you very much, Meredith.